They don't see it more. They don't see it as a spending. They see it more like as an investment. The record-breaking transaction in Opus, which was at 9,550 per square foot. So the yields are really interesting. It's between 9 to 11%. Inspiration, yeah. So it's like, that's why I like this building. It makes financial sense. You can
give a bit of a small explanation on our program. What we do with On the Road with EV is we invite our commercial specialists from our commercial team in Engel Völkers to not only introduce themselves to the market and what they're specializing in, but also for them to give a little bit of their story and also what their favorite projects are, so that before our first episode we had with Alpert talk about retail and F&B, especially one of his favorite restaurants that we went to. And now, of course, you for episode number 2, we're going to your favorite building. What made you pick Opus?
You made me pick Opus.
Yeah, okay.
I always wanted to work in a luxury office segment because the type of clientele you work with, the type of investors that you work with is really interesting from my intellectual perspective, from like business perspective as well. Every agent needs to find what they're good at, and I think I was just good in dealing with those type of clientele, so it kind of happened organically. I loved the architecture of the building, I love the design of it, and I think even in commercial, even though it's numbers driven and stats and facts, but you still have to love genuinely what you are selling. And for me it was the love of the building, the love of the of what it has to offer.
What can you tell me about that clientele that is different than, for example, the clientele that would go to normal office towers?
Yeah, the clientele who goes to normal office towers, they're more pragmatic, I would say, and they're more P&L driven. They don't see it as a spending. They see it more like as an investment to their brand, as an addition to their prestige of their business, as a treat for their clients as well, because they have clients coming over to the meetings. They can treat them to a nice reception, to a nice area in the lobby. So for them it's more of not purely numbers driven, although of course that does have to make financial sense.
The smallest offices are around
2,042 square feet.
The address is more like an extension to the business card of the type of companies that are there. The building is amazing. It has valet parking on both sides. Of course, it has a hotel in it. It's the types of car that are parked outside. It gives a certain allure, right?
They choose the building, as we said before, for the appeal, for the beauty of the office. It represents their brand well, but also it does make the economic sense for them now. If they get a rent today, on the rent of today, they probably will make a long-term contract, 3, 5, 6 years.
So let's then talk a bit more about the investment perspective of this building.
Yeah.
What are the ticket prices that we're looking at, and what is the yield that that investors are looking at currently, or that is reachable in this building?
Yeah, so the ticket price for sale, on average, now we see offices that go for sale at around 5,000, 5,500 per square foot. The record-breaking transaction in Opus, which was at 9,550 per square foot.
Correct. Yeah. And the one below that is also happily to say on our name.
Yeah.
But again, on the rental cycle, are they similar to that? Are they?
Yes, again so the yields are really interesting. It's between 9 to 11%.
9 to 11%.
Yeah, that's still I would say still a seller's market.
We are at a very high occupancy rate. Yeah. There's a reasonable amount of stock coming to market over this time. How do you see that effect?
But if we're talking about competition, let's say, to Opus in Business Bay or in downtown, I wouldn't even call it competition. I would call it more complementarity, because the amount of new companies that we see registering each quarter in mainland area, just new companies, is astronomical. They keep registering, moving their businesses to Dubai. Companies are growing. They need bigger offices. They need additional offices. Just recently I was working with a client who rented one full floor, and the next day they come back to me asking for a second full floor in the same tower. That's why I like this building. It makes financial sense, economic sense, and aesthetic sense all in once.
The inspiration of Zaha Hadid on the design of the building?
Yep. I know, you told me about it when I first started in Opus. And now I tell this to my clients, and they love the story. So basically, Zaha Hadid was inspired by the vision of the melting ice cube in a glass of whiskey. And this contrast of tough structure and soft melting softness of the water in the eyes inspired her to create the void which we see inside the opus, as well as the overall sharp structure on the edges. So it's like this contrast between soft and hard, which is very appealing to the eye, priceless and timeless design.
Wow, you should sell it. Right, well, Maria, thank you very much. Until next time with a new On the Road with EV.